History remembers Mozart. Beethoven echoes through the ages. But what about Johann Nepomuk Hummel? His name might not resonate as loudly, but his music deserves a place among the greats. Imagine a world where the delicate balance between classical and romantic eras was shaped by a forgotten hand. A world where the piano sang with a brilliance that rivaled even the most celebrated virtuosos. This is the world that Hummel inhabited. Hummel wasn't just a composer, he was a bridge between eras. He carried the torch of Mozart's legacy while paving the way for the romantic fervor of Chopin and Liszt. His compositions, imbued with elegance and technical brilliance, captivated audiences across Europe. Kings and queens knew his name, fellow composers sought his guidance, yet somewhere along the way Hummel's star faded. His music, once celebrated in grand concert halls, was overshadowed. The echoes of his genius, however, never truly disappeared. They linger in the arpeggios of his piano concertos, the dramatic flair of his operas, and the intimate conversations of his chamber music. Born in Pressburg, Hungary in 1778, Hummel's life was steeped in music from the start. His father, a musician, recognized his son's prodigious talent early on. Hummel was already navigating the complexities of the keyboard. Imagine Vienna in the late 18th century, alive with music. At 7, Hummel arrived to study under Mozart. Mozart took him under his wing. For 2 years, Hummel absorbed Mozart's teachings. These early years shaped Hummel's musical DNA. He possessed a unique spark, pushing the boundaries of classical form. Even as a teenager, Hummel was making a name for himself. His performances drew crowds across Europe. He toured extensively, his reputation as a virtuoso pianist preceding him. Step into a concert hall in the early 19th century. The air crackles with anticipation. The orchestra tunes their instruments, a hushed murmur rippling through the expectant audience. Then, silence. Johann Nepomuk Hummel, a commanding presence at the piano, launches into his Piano Concerto No. 2 in a minor. The music is electrifying. It's a dialogue between orchestra and soloist, a conversation that shifts seamlessly between moments of delicate beauty and passages of fiery virtuosity. This was Hummel's magic, the ability to blend the elegance of the classical era with the burgeoning passion of the romantic. His compositions weren't confined to the concert hall. Hummel's operas, filled with drama and intrigue, grace the stages of Europe's finest theatres. His chamber music, intimate and conversational, offered glimpses into his soul. Each note he penned was infused with a meticulous craftsmanship, a dedication to pushing the boundaries of musical expression. He wasn't afraid to experiment. His compositions explored new harmonic landscapes, venturing beyond the well-trodden paths of his predecessors. His piano writing in particular was revolutionary. It demanded a new level of virtuosity, pushing the limits of what was considered playable. Two years with Mozart, 2 years that shaped a lifetime. Hummel, no longer a child prodigy, but a young man on the cusp of greatness, bid farewell to his mentor. He carried Mozart's lessons in his heart, but the open road beckoned. It was time to forge his own path. His journey took him across Europe. He performed in grand palaces and intimate salons, captivating audiences with his virtuosity. Imagine the gasps as his fingers danced across the ivory keys, effortlessly navigating the most challenging passages. He wasn't just performing, he was absorbing. Each city offered new sounds, new traditions, new ways of experiencing music. He immersed himself in the works of other composers, studying their techniques, expanding his own musical vocabulary. Through it all, the lessons from Mozart remained his guiding star. The clarity, the elegance, the sheer joy of music. These were the pillars upon which Hummel built his own unique voice. A composer's journey begins. Performance was in Hummel's blood, but composition called to him. He began to translate the melodies swirling in his head onto paper. He wrote sonatas, chamber music, each piece bearing the mark of his burgeoning talent. His early works, while showing flashes of brilliance, were still finding their footing. He experimented with different forms, different styles, searching for the sound that would define him. Recognition came gradually. His compositions, though not yet as celebrated as his performances, began to attract attention. He found a champion in Joseph Haydn, the venerable composer who recognized a kindred spirit in the young musician. Haydn's encouragement fueled Hummel's creative fire. He poured himself into his work, honing his craft, refining his voice. The world of music was on the verge of discovering a new genius. Patronage and Prestige. Word of Hummel's talent spread through the courts of Europe. He received an invitation that would change his life, an offer to serve as Kapellmeister to Prince Nicholas II Esterházy. It was an esteemed position, one previously held by none other than Joseph Haydn himself. Hummel, still in his early 20s, was now responsible for composing and conducting music for one of the most powerful families in Europe. He thrived in this new environment. Surrounded by talented musicians and inspired by the grandeur of his surroundings, Hummel's compositions reached new heights. He wrote symphonies, concertos, and operas, each piece infused with a newfound confidence and sophistication. His reputation grew with each performance. He wasn't just a court musician, he was a rising star in the European musical firmament. The weight of legacy. Success brought with it the weight of expectation. Hummel, now recognized as one of the leading composers of his day, felt the pressure to live up to his reputation. He was acutely aware of the legacy he was inheriting. Mozart, his mentor and inspiration, had cast a long shadow. Hummel, while deeply respectful of his teacher, was determined to carve his own path. He pushed the boundaries of classical form, infusing his compositions with a dramatic flair that hinted at the Romantic era to come. He explored new harmonic landscapes, experimented with innovative piano techniques. His music, while still rooted in the elegance of the classical era, began to exhibit a boldness, a passion that set him apart from his contemporaries. The dawn of the 19th century ushered in an era of change. Napoleon's armies marched across Europe, redrawing borders and upending old orders. In the world of music, too, a new spirit was taking hold. The Romantic era, with its emphasis on emotion and individualism, was beginning to emerge. Hummel, always attuned to the pulse of his time, embraced this shift. His compositions became bolder, more dramatic. He explored themes of love, loss, and the human condition with a depth and sensitivity that resonated with audiences. He incorporated elements of folk music into his work, adding a touch of exoticism and national character. He pushed the boundaries of piano technique, demanding a new level of virtuosity from performers. Hummel's star continued to rise. His compositions were performed throughout Europe, garnering critical acclaim and popular adoration. He toured extensively, his concerts becoming legendary events. He met and befriended the leading musicians of his day, engaging in spirited discussions about the future of music. He was a sought-after teacher, his students flocking to learn from the master. Yet through it all, he never lost sight of the lessons he'd learned from Mozart. The clarity, the elegance, the sheer joy of music, these remained the cornerstones of his art. Hummel was more than just a composer. He was a bridge between eras. He carried the torch of the classical tradition while paving the way for the Romantic Revolution. For Hummel, the piano concerto wasn't just a vehicle for virtuosity. It was a conversation, a dialogue between soloist and orchestra, between composer and listener, between the technical brilliance of the instrument and the raw emotion it could evoke. Imagine the hush of the concert hall as Hummel, a commanding presence at the keyboard, launched into his Piano Concerto No. 2 in a minor. The orchestra answered his call, their instruments weaving intricate tapestries of sound around the soaring melodies of the piano. His concertos were more than just a display of technical prowess. They were infused with a lyrical beauty, a sense of drama and narrative that drew listeners in. The piano in Hummel's hands sang, whispered, and roared, conveying a depth of emotion that transcended mere notes on a page. He understood the instrument's potential like few others. His writing for the piano was both challenging and rewarding, pushing the boundaries of what was considered playable while always remaining grounded in musicality. He demanded agility, yes, but also sensitivity, nuance, the ability to make the instrument breathe. Operatic tales, drama, and intrigue. The Opera House, with its grand spectacle and heightened emotions, provided another canvas for Hummel's creativity. He composed several operas throughout his career, each one a testament to his dramatic flair and his ability to craft compelling characters and stories. One of his most successful operas, Mathilde von Guise, transported audiences to the tumultuous world of 16th century France. With its soaring melodies, intricate ensembles, and moments of heart-wrenching pathos, the opera captivated audiences and cemented Hummel's reputation as a master of the genre. Hummel's operas weren't just historical spectacles, however. He tackled themes of love, betrayal, and redemption with a depth and sensitivity that resonated with audiences on a personal level. His music, always attuned to the emotional nuances of the text, breathed life into the characters and their stories. He understood the power of music to transport audiences to different worlds, to make them feel deeply and passionately. His operas were not just entertainment, they were experiences, journeys into the heart of the human condition. The intimate voice chamber music. In the intimate setting of the salon, Hummel's chamber music shone with brilliance. His gift for melody and mastery of form were on full display. The first notes of Hummel's piano quintet in E-flat major fill the space. His chamber works are gems of the repertoire. They reveal a composer who found beauty in the smallest details. Septet in D minor, a microcosm of brilliance. Among Hummel's chamber works, the Septet in D minor, Opus 74, stands as a towering achievement, scored for an unusual combination of instruments: violin, viola, cello, double bass, clarinet, horn, and piano. The Septet is a microcosm of Hummel's compositional brilliance. It's a work of contrasts, of light and shade, of moments of breathtaking virtuosity and passages of haunting beauty. The piano, given a prominent role, soars above the ensemble at times, while at others it blends seamlessly into the texture, engaging in lively dialogues with the other instruments. The septet's popularity during Hummel's lifetime is a testament to its enduring appeal. It's a work that speaks to both the head and the heart, a testament to Hummel's ability to write music that is both intellectually stimulating and emotionally engaging. It's a work that captures the spirit of its time, a time of great change and upheaval, but it also transcends its historical context. The septet's themes of love, loss, and the search for meaning are as relevant today as they were 2 centuries ago. Echoes of Vienna, the influence of Mozart. The influence of Mozart, Hummel's teacher and mentor, is evident throughout his work: the clarity of form, the elegance of melody, the sheer joy in music making that characterized Mozart's style left an indelible mark on Hummel's own compositional voice. Listen closely to Hummel's Piano Sonata No. 3 in F-sharp minor, Opus 20. The opening movement, with its sparkling arpeggios and graceful melodies, could easily be mistaken for a lost Mozart sonata. But listen further and you'll hear Hummel's own voice emerging. Hummel absorbed Mozart's lessons deeply, but he was no mere imitator. He took the foundations laid by his mentor and built upon them, expanding the harmonic language, exploring new formal structures, and injecting his music with a dramatic flair that hinted at the Romantic era to come. The influence of Vienna, the city where Hummel spent his formative years, is also palpable in his music. The city's rich musical tradition, its vibrant cultural life, and its spirit of innovation all left their mark on Hummel's style. Beyond the score, Hummel, the Innovator. Hummel's legacy extends beyond his compositions. He was also a gifted pianist, a renowned teacher, and an innovator who made significant contributions to the development of piano technique and performance practice. He was one of the first pianists to embrace the use of the pedals, exploring their potential to create subtle gradations of dynamics and color. He also experimented with different hand positions and fingerings, developing techniques that allowed pianists to achieve greater speed and agility. His contributions to music education were equally significant. He wrote a number of pedagogical works, including his highly influential A Complete Theoretical and Practical Course of Instruction on the Art of Playing the Pianoforte, which became a standard text for piano students throughout Europe. Hummel believed that music education should be accessible to all, regardless of social status or economic background. He championed the idea of public concerts, making classical music available to a wider audience. He also advocated for the establishment of music conservatories, institutions that would provide rigorous training for aspiring musicians. A meeting of minds, Hummel and Beethoven, Vienna, a crucible of musical genius. Two titans, Beethoven and Hummel, their paths intertwined in the bustling heart of the city. Beethoven, a force of nature, his music already shaking the foundations of the classical era. Hummel, a master of elegance and precision, his playing renowned for its clarity and brilliance. They met not as rivals but as colleagues, each recognizing the other's unique gifts. They shared a stage, their pianos engaged in a fiery dialogue, their fingers dancing across the keys in a blur of virtuosity. Beethoven, the revolutionary, pushing the boundaries of form and harmony. Hummel, the traditionalist, upholding the elegance and clarity of the classical style. Yet, despite their differences, there was a shared passion, a mutual respect that transcended any artistic rivalry. They debated music, shared ideas, and inspired each other. Joseph Haydn, the father figure of the classical era, cast a long shadow over both Hummel and Beethoven. Hummel, who had served as Kapellmeister in the Esterházy court after Haydn, carried the weight of that legacy with both pride and a sense of responsibility. Beethoven, though never a direct pupil of Haydn, deeply admired the older composer's work. Hummel's music, while embracing the innovations of the early Romantic period, never strayed far from the classical principles he had inherited from Haydn. Beethoven, on the other hand, seemed determined to shatter the mold. Yet despite their divergent paths, both Hummel and Beethoven owed a debt to Haydn. He had provided the foundation from which their own unique musical voices could grow. And imagine a young Frédéric Chopin, his fingers already dancing across the keyboard with an ethereal grace, encountering the music of Johann Nepomuk Hummel for the first time. The year is 1828, and Chopin, still a teenager, is on the cusp of his own meteoric rise to fame. Hummel, by this time, is an elder statesman of the music world, his reputation as a composer and pianist firmly established. He recognizes in Chopin a kindred spirit, a young genius who possesses that rare combination of technical brilliance and emotional depth. Hummel's influence on Chopin, while subtle, is undeniable. The clarity of Hummel's piano writing, his emphasis on elegance and precision, resonated deeply with the young Polish composer. Hummel served as a bridge between the classical era and the Romantic era that Chopin would come to embody. The salons and soirees of early 19th century Europe were more than just social gatherings. They were crucibles of creativity. In these intimate settings, the leading lights of the music world gathered to share their latest works, engage in spirited debate, and inspire one another. At the piano, Johann Nepomuk Hummel, his fingers dancing across the keys with effortless grace, performing one of his latest compositions. Among the assembled guests, a who's who of the musical elite, Beethoven, Schubert, and Weber. Rivalries were forged, collaborations hatched, and friendships cemented over late-night discussions fueled by passion and artistic ferment. The art of transcription, reimagining masterpieces. Hummel, like many composers of his time, was a master of transcription, the art of arranging music for different instruments or ensembles. He saw transcription not as mere copying, but as an opportunity to reimagine, to shed new light on the works of other composers. He transcribed operas by Mozart and Gluck, symphonies by Haydn and Beethoven, transforming these orchestral works into virtuoso showpieces for the piano. In his hands, these familiar melodies took on new life, their colors heightened, their textures enriched. He also arranged popular songs and dances for the piano, making these tunes accessible to amateur musicians. Hummel's transcription showcased his virtuosity and deep understanding of orchestration. A legacy forged in mentorship. But Hummel's legacy extends beyond his compositions and performances. He was also a gifted teacher, his students flocking to learn from the master. Among his most notable pupils were Robert Schumann and Ferdinand Hiller. Hummel's teaching methods were rigorous but encouraging, emphasizing technical mastery and musicality. His students, inspired by his example, went on to make their own marks on the world of music. Hummel's legacy, passed down through generations of musicians, continues to resonate today. Weimar, a new stage, a new purpose. The year is 1819. Hummel, now a mature and respected figure in the music world, embarks on a new chapter in his life. He accepts the prestigious position of Kapellmeister at the court of Weimar. This wasn't just another court appointment, it was an opportunity to shape the cultural landscape of a city renowned for its literary and artistic heritage. Weimar, home to Goethe and Schiller, pulsated with intellectual energy. Hummel envisioned a court orchestra not merely as performers, but as cultural ambassadors, pushing the boundaries of musical expression. He expanded the orchestra, attracting top-tier musicians from across Europe. He introduced new works, championing the music of both established masters and promising young composers. Hummel understood the power of music to transcend boundaries and foster understanding across cultures. Shaping young minds, Hummel the Pedagogue. Teaching, for Hummel, wasn't just a profession, it was a calling. He possessed a rare gift for recognizing and nurturing talent, for igniting a passion for music in the hearts of his students. His students, drawn to his reputation as both a virtuoso and a pedagogue, came from far and wide. He instilled in them not only technical mastery, but also a deep respect for the art of music. He emphasized the importance of a solid foundation, of understanding the theory and structure behind the music. His pedagogical works, including his comprehensive, a complete theoretical and practical course of instruction on the art of playing the pianoforte, became standard texts for piano students throughout Europe. These works continue to influence piano pedagogy to this day. A symphony of innovation elevating the piano. Hummel's relationship with the piano was one of profound intimacy. He approached the piano not just as a virtuoso, but as an innovator, constantly seeking new ways to expand its expressive possibilities. He was among the first composers to fully embrace the use of the pedals, transforming them from mere tools of sustain into instruments of color and nuance. He explored the full range of the keyboard, unlocking new sonic landscapes. His piano writing, a testament to his own virtuosity, challenged the limits of what was considered playable. Yet for all its technical brilliance, his music never sacrificed beauty for showmanship. Hummel's innovations extended beyond composition. He worked closely with instrument makers to improve the piano itself. He sought to create a piano that could meet the demands of his increasingly virtuosic writing. The Final Bow, a legacy etched in sound. The twilight years of Hummel's life were marked by a gradual withdrawal from the public eye. He continued to compose, to teach, and to conduct, but his pace slowed as he sought solace in the quiet joys of family and the enduring power of music. He died in Weimar in 1837, surrounded by loved ones and the echoes of a life devoted to his art. The world mourned the loss of a musical giant, a composer who'd bridged eras, pushed boundaries, and left an indelible mark on the world of music. His students and admirers continued to champion his work, ensuring that his legacy would endure. His compositions began to reclaim their rightful place in the repertoire. Whispers of genius rediscovering Hummel. The 20th century, with its relentless pursuit of the new, could have easily forgotten Johann Nepomuk Hummel. But the whispers of his genius proved too persistent to ignore. Musicians, scholars, and music lovers began to rediscover Hummel's work. Recordings of his compositions, once a rarity, began to proliferate, bringing his music to a wider audience. Pianists and chamber ensembles embraced his music as a staple of their repertoire. The rediscovery of Hummel wasn't just about nostalgia, it was about recognizing the enduring power of his music. A timeless voice, Hummel's enduring appeal. Why does the music of Johann Nepomuk Hummel continue to resonate with audiences today? Perhaps it is his ability to bridge eras, capturing the elegance and clarity of the classical style while embracing the emotional depth of his time. Perhaps it is the sheer beauty of his melodies, the effortless grace of his phrasing. Perhaps it is the technical brilliance of his writing, challenging performers to reach new heights of virtuosity while always remaining grounded in musicality. Or perhaps it is the enduring power of music to transcend time and place, to touch the human soul across generations. Hummel's music reminds us of the beauty that lies at the heart of the human experience. His legacy, once overshadowed, now shines brightly, continuing to inspire and move us. A legacy rediscovered. The story of Johann Nepomuk Hummel is not a tragic tale of a forgotten genius. It is a testament to the enduring power of music, a testament to the fact that true artistry will ultimately find its way back into the light. For much of the 20th century, Hummel's star seemed to dim. The titans of the Romantic era commanded the attention of audiences and performers alike. Hummel, with his emphasis on elegance, clarity, and formal balance, was relegated to the shadows. But the seeds of his rediscovery had been sown. Scholars and musicians began to uncover the richness and depth of his compositions. Recordings of Hummel's music became more widely available, bringing his sound to a new generation of listeners. Music festivals dedicated to his work sprang up, offering audiences the opportunity to experience the full breadth of his creative output. Hummel's name is forever linked with Mozart and Beethoven. He was Mozart's student, absorbing the master's lessons. And he was Beethoven's contemporary in early 19th century Vienna. But Hummel was not just an imitator. He forged his own path. He developed a unique musical voice, blending classical elegance with romantic spirit. Listen to Hummel's music and you'll hear echoes of the past and glimpses of the future. You'll hear the clarity of form, the balanced phrases, and the elegant melodies that characterized the classical era. But you'll also hear hints of the romantic spirit to come. Hummel was a master of his craft, his music imbued with a sense of effortless grace and technical mastery. His piano writing is a joy to both play and hear, demanding the utmost from the performer, while rewarding the listener with its beauty and brilliance. The beauty of Hummel's music lies in its technical mastery and formal elegance. His melodies evoke emotions that transcend time and place. We hear the joy of a child discovering the world and the longing of a heart-seeking connection. Hummel's music bridges, divides, and transcends time. It touches the human soul in ways nothing else can. The story of Johann Nepomuk Hummel's music is not yet over. It is in many ways an unfinished symphony, its melodies still resonating, its harmonies still waiting to be fully explored. As long as there are musicians willing to champion his work, audiences eager to hear his sound, and scholars dedicated to unraveling the complexities of his genius, Hummel's music will continue to evolve and to reveal new depths. It is up to us, the inheritors of his legacy, to ensure that his music continues to be heard, studied, and cherished. We owe it to Hummel and to ourselves to keep his flame burning brightly, to share his music with the world, and to allow its beauty and its brilliance to inspire generations to come. The rediscovery of Johann Nepomuk Hummel is a cause for celebration, but it is also a call to action. Let us continue to explore the uncharted territories of his musical landscape, to unearth the hidden gems that lie buried within his scores, and to share the gift of his music with the world. The symphony is unfinished, but the music has only just begun.